Okay. Thank you for that. Let's talk
Yep.
about coronavirus. You already talked a little bit about how it was managed, right? Talk to us about some of the things that we were put in place to follow that process. What were some in your action plan? Step one, step two, step three, when we had the situation again back in last year.
So it was very chaotic
Yeah.
for the entire world and the country whenever that occurred. Right off the bat, what we did is we put in a cross-functional team in place, and what that means is a multidisciplinary team of leaders. So we had about 11 or 12 executives that we put in charge of a variety of things. One we put in charge of testing. One we put in charge of code enforcement, the enforcement of the rules that were put in place. The other one we put in charge of communication, and so on and so forth. So we had these 11, 12 areas that we charged them with in order to attack the problem from a comprehensive standpoint. We even had a section for businesses and recovery of businesses, for rental assistance, and so on and so forth. We had to make it comprehensive because it wasn't just one thing. That virus attacked us as a community. I mean, it hit our pocketbooks, it hit our psyche, it hit our living rooms, it hit everything. It hit our hearts, it hit our soul. We had people we lost, friends, family members that have passed. So it hit us in all direction. So we put this team together in order to address all these areas all at the same time. So we were having these very lengthy presentations to the council because they had multiple questions on a variety of things. And so initially, the first meeting, I think the longest, it was like 11 hours. If I'm remembering correctly, it was 9, 10, 11 hours, and then it got down to 8 hours, 7 hours, 6 hours. Then it was a consistent 4 or 5 hours. Then we got down to 3 hours, and then towards the very end, when we were having more success, it got to quick updates. Like now, we give updates and they take about half an hour today. But we still give those detailed updates for council to know what's going on. And as I said before, at one point we were the most infected on the planet. We came out of it with the best vaccine rollout in the entire United States, which I would say the world. And we're not saying that. The CDC said that, and Rockefeller said that. And our mayor was able to speak at an event where we were featured as the best, us in Madison, Wisconsin. And the things we were talking about, we were miles ahead of them. So that's why I say I think we were the best. They said that we and Madison, Wisconsin were the best, but I think we were better than they were because our mayor came back very enthusiastic saying, we were talking about all these things and they weren't doing any of those. So it was very successful in terms of how we were able to put that initial team together, and then at the end of the day, the type of results we got. So today, 81% have at least one vaccine and 70% are fully vaccinated, and we need to get to 75% to be at herd immunity. How does that compare to the rest of the world or the state and the nation? At the national level, they've barely got to 70% with the first dose. We've been there for over 6 weeks, and a second dose. So we're like, double digits ahead on both those areas, on single dose and second dose, and not only at the national level but at the state level as well.
Nice. Of course, the end result was a positive one. Of course, a lot to talk about there. But why is it that El Paso got there to begin with? I know the plan after that, we were able to overcome that. But what happened? Who dropped the ball? How the ball was dropped that we got to to that situation to begin with?
I think the ball dropped when the virus hit
Okay.
the country. And so I think that's when the ball dropped. And
From government, there's nothing that we can say, and maybe we could have followed at that time a different process?
I think that at that particular time we did follow a process. We put a team together that hit all those different functional areas, and it was what it was. I mean, you had people that wanted to still get out. You had, it's tough to corral any people, in any part of the country. And we also have the border to contend with, and we have a synonymous, a synergistic kind of symbiotic regional flavor here, and we didn't have the same type of instruments in Mexico that we do here. There was a variety of factors. I think that we only have so much control over what we could do and not do. I think we were very aggressive in the beginning. And I also think that we had to follow state guidelines as well. And we, at the time, had our governor that thought certain things, and I think the local folks thought another. And we had to marry those two up because, I mean, if we go against the state, that could mean state funding for El Paso, and it could hurt us even more. So there was a lot of issues like that we needed to work through. So it was a combination of a lot of things, and so it was what it was, and we accept whatever responsibility we have for that.
Okay, let me ask you on County Judge Ricardo Samaniego. As you know, I own a small business. Again, very confused. I'm sure a lot of people got confused when the mayor said one thing when we had that situation, which it seems everything's clear now. But at that point, okay, so what role does he play and what role does the mayor play? And at any point were you also part of that as far as maybe providing advice, maybe guidance? Talk to us about that. What role, first of all, going back to the County Judge Ricardo Samaniego, what was the role that he played there, and why was that issue going on?
In a state of emergency, the county judge has a final say.
Okay.
However, if the governor is directing a certain guidance, that's what needs to be followed. So that's what we did at the local level, at the city level. We followed the guidance from the governor. And we also supported the judge as much as we could. And so we worked very closely with him as well. And in terms of our guidance was that we have to follow state law. So that's what happened there. It's that simple.
Okay, but you think there was an issue when we had the situation on miscommunication, or it was just that two individuals were very passionate about how to handle this?
There was not a miscommunication. It was a disagreement.
Okay.
And that's the long and short of it. I mean, you had a governor that said a certain thing. As a municipality, we followed that, and the county judge disagreed with that, and I respect that. He disagreed with that because he was very, as you said, passionate in his views, and so we supported the governor, and we supported the county judge, and we supported our mayor at the time, and we just had to work through those issues, and they disagreed, and we then had to look at what we needed to do, and we needed to follow state law based on the legal recommendations we were given.
Thank you for clearing that for me.
Yeah.
Señor, what's our current situation? The very